And we are live. Welcome to another episode of the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. Today, we're going to be tackling one of the biggest roadblocks holding entrepreneurs back. Why so many stay stuck at the same exact income level for many years, no matter how hard they work. So if you've been grinding, but you still just can't break past that next financial level or that next milestone in life, this episode is for you. So stay tuned and we'll see you on the inside.
For those of you who don't know, we got some new branding.
We do. So yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot of changes, right? We've got some things that are even the next phase because we do plan on finally just hitting all the channels in regards to your mainstream podcasting. So yeah, I'm really excited about 2025. We've got a lot of great things, a lot of great guests coming up too. We won't spill the tea, right? But we've got some.
I got some good guests coming.
Yeah, and it's
this month. The next 3 episodes, you want to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, every episode, but yeah, definitely the next
5 episodes. We have some really big guests coming on, so you guys are going to really want to stay in tune and all that kind of stuff because Uncensored Entrepreneurs is coming back with a vengeance, baby.
It is, and I'm excited, right? Like here's the interesting thing. It's funny that we're even kind of opening up with this conversation because this is one major ingredient on why most people stay stuck as entrepreneurs at their current income level because they're not willing to pivot or to change things up, right? And I believe, at least in my journey as an entrepreneur and everything I've experienced with those around me, that you have to be willing to make constant changes, right? You have to be a change agent. I don't know. Do you two agree with that? You echo that?
100%. And especially when you're in the marketing industry and every one of us, even though you're not in a marketing business, you are marketing your business somehow, some way. So for instance, like 2 weeks ago, Instagram completely changed their setup and changed their graphics, changed the size.
Yes.
And you have to adjust. You have to pivot your business, just like we did in 2020 when everybody pivoted their business from networking outside and going to like 50 networking events a month to everything online here on Zoom. When you got, what was it called? Zoom butt? I think it was like Zoom butt.
I've never heard of that, but I feel like I have it, Tina. So it's okay.
It's like I still got it now.
Yeah, absolutely. So really excited to talk about today's episode because I think it like resonates. It should resonate with every single one of us. And by the way, when we say you're stuck at that same exact level, these are common things that are happening at all levels, right? In people's business. I mean, I'm talking like for some, you're just trying to find that consistent, $1,000 a month, just something that absolutely is residually coming in. It's consistent. You know that you have it allocated to pay some bills and you want to scale that business. And for others, you're stuck at that 6-figure, right? Moment where it's like, I'm pulling in $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 months consistently, but I just can't break out of that rut. Now, I'm going to say I know quite a few others out there that they're already pulling in those 7-figure, years. And they're like, how do I go from 7 to 8? And there's different challenges at every single level, of course. But I'd say that at a basic level, you have to be willing to, number one, show up every day. We know last week.
Consistency, right? One of the words is like
yes,
consistency,
showing up, taking action. What did just kind of going back, what did Kimberly say last week in regards to since 2007, she's been going live. And in the beginning, she
Oh,
had
yeah.
like one person watching her, right?
For almost 2 years, I remember her saying that she used to go live every single day. She goes, Tina, 1 or 2 people would show up, 1 or 2 people. And she goes, sometimes it was like my best friend every single time, but I
Right.
did it and I did it and I did it. And I see so many people. I've been trying this for 3 months and it's not working. I'm like,
Right.
keep going.
Yeah.
But I also completely understand because it
Oh,
is
we
as
can relate.
I mean, this is why we have this show, real, raw, and unplugged.
That's
Why
right.
it's so important to take these conversations to you guys because being an entrepreneur is hard work. What is it that who's stupid enough to quit a 40-hour job to work an 80-hour job where you're not making no money at all for the first year or two?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and they always say that it's hard to make your first six figures. It is the hardest to hit that first six figures, but then it's easy to hit seven,
Hmm.
but then it's hard to hit eight. Isn't
Yeah.
that isn't that the
I can relate. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Start. I know that you've had a great deal of success. When we all have, but we've talked in regards to like that transition from brick and mortar
Oh,
into the online space, right? And I know that you've had that freshest kind of experience of transitioning and doing that. Did you find it like to be majorly hard? Were you hitting some roadblocks along the way?
I definitely had some roadblocks. So we have to be adaptable, that is for sure. And I want to take it back a bit. I had scaled my business to six figures. I was running brick and mortars and I didn't have that excitement level because I'd been doing it for a couple of years. And you kind of get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm making this income, I'm used to it. And I started another business selling on Etsy and I started making six figures doing that. And I kind of like, I didn't abandon my brick and mortars. They were still open, but it wasn't like a priority for me because I get excited about this new shiny object syndrome.
Hmm.
That lasted for 2 years before the product that I was selling was like a fad. And I think I've talked about this before. When I stopped working on that business, I put everything back into my original business. That is when I scaled to seven figures. So this is where we talk about that consistency because you oftentimes are at that breakthrough and you don't realize it. And that was me. And so once I put
Yes.
everything back into there, I went there. So a couple of years ago, I did have to pivot and I had to shut down my retail stores. Some factors could have been the economy, multiple robberies, which I've also talked about. And so I've been kind of having this desire to move into the online space anyways. And I talked about, looking into coaching and then what was I going to do with this business and this entity. So I was kind of forced to go into the e-commerce route fully, which I had already started my Shopify account and I had grown great momentum in Southern California. So now it's just a matter of, okay, I have to adapt. One of my struggles was like, I've been known as a seven-figure earner annually for like quite some time, for multiple
Right.
years. And so I had a lot of mindset work through that. Like, okay, I no longer am going to be generating seven figures in revenue. And so that kind of like that was my identity for some time. And so I had a lot
Yeah.
of mindset work where I felt I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like I could be online anymore, screaming, through the roofs. And I probably wasn't screaming through the rooftops like I should have anyways. Uh,
Right.
but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, how can I still had a lot of overhead with brick and mortar. So how can I scale the e-commerce side of things? I won't have as much overhead. That's one thing. And how can I get my products in front of people? So I've been working on that. And so, yeah, it's been great. But yeah, there was a lot of mindset working that goes behind that. And also you have to figure out how are you going to do certain things to gain that success.
Hmm.
Right now we have the tariffs in China. I'm an importer. I import goods from
I'm gonna ask you that. Like, you're gonna have to pivot again with all these things that are
Yeah.
going on with China.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm raising prices. How's that going to affect my business? Well, some people are not going to want to purchase anymore. Do I look
Right.
for another supplier? So these are things that you have to be always doing in your business is analyzing, what pivots you have to make at what time and how you're going to be affected by them so that you can continue to scale and increase that income.
You have to have adaptability. I mean, you have to be able to do that, right? Most people, you're right. They're going to hit a ceiling as we've mentioned before, or just hit that wall where they're like, "That's it." Woe is me. These outside influences are changing the way that I do business, so I'm just going to quit, or I'm going to pull back entirely. And I think those short term, like, those pains, those hurdles, when you really are, when you take on the DNA of being an entrepreneur, you find a way. You find a way, to push through this. The other thing is, like, let's kind of step this right back, like elementary. Let's go in the very, very beginning. You mentioned a couple key things. One was the fact that you've mentioned yourself many times. I was holding myself back. I had to have the mindset to do this, X, Y, Z, right? It usually starts there. I'm not saying that you don't need to double down on marketing. I'm not saying that you don't need to continue to invest in certain elements of your business.
You need to work on is your mindset.
But it's you, right? Like it really is 75% of typically what's holding us back, because you could have accepted the fact just now by saying that wow, like that's all you see when you look on social media. It's either people praising a situation or people beating one down, right? But you're just pushing forward regardless. You're looking for new ways of getting creative. And I believe, Starr, that when someone is in this mode, like whenever we have to pivot and you're figuring out new ways to become adaptable, to push through, then what's going to happen, is that when things start to just kind of release and open back up again, and you find that that's when you'll hit that next level. You know what I mean? Because you're constantly pushing the ceiling until that ceiling's raised again, and now you're just going to be through the roof, right?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. One challenge that I faced was my products, my supply, my demand in the early days of my business. And I was just so committed to having a specific type of product and working with specific vendors from a specific country. My shipment started coming in extremely late, 30 days late. My business was tanking. I'm like, what am I going to do? I had to pivot. I had to find new vendors. So I think it's important for us to not give up when these challenges arise, and find solutions for ourselves, for our companies, for our business, whatever those challenges may be.
And and again, these are the things that breed opportunity. I mean, every single time I've ever had any situation where I felt like I couldn't scale any longer, or I've hit a ceiling, you once you start looking at, like, what partnerships can I build?
Exactly.
Right now you're probably already looking at what other vendors can actually supply me with my products, and who can help me kind of expand through cross promoting my products and services, right? All those things. And I truly believe, because you already have it in you, you've been through this before, that you'll keep pushing through. Now, there's many entrepreneurs out there. So we've already identified that typically we hold ourselves back. That's one. The other thing is that we become extremely burnt out, because we're taking it all on ourselves. And there's only so much that you can even
You're the
do.
finance person, you're the marketing person,
Yes.
you're the social media person, you're the coach, you're doing everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So who can relate? Like, even if you're watching this on replay later, let us know, like, who can relate to the fact of being that solopreneur, right? When you're just getting out there, or you've been in this business for a while, you're the person that's sitting there, like you just said, Tina, you're wearing 10 different hats, right? And you're trying to juggle everything. I will say that in itself is probably the next major thing that I know in my own experience and what I see with my clients that typically holds them back as well, because you can only do so much, and you're not able to scale unless you start building partnerships, you outsource, any of these things, any type of collaborations. And that's obviously what we talk a great deal about on the show.
what was the first thing that you delegated, Robert? When you like hit, okay, now I think I can start hiring some people. What was the first thing that you delegated?
The very first thing was some of the clerical stuff. I'm one of those individuals that I love to immerse myself in every aspect of my business, right? I'm also a marketer, right? So, I tell people all the time, I can create a website, I can create a funnel, I can do all these things.
Do I like to? No.
Do I like to do them? Absolutely not. And here's the thing. Whenever you pull away from, actively doing income, activities, like things that absolutely are your target to pulling in more income, which are typically your discovery calls, really relating with your clients, delivering that product and service, right? And being able to follow up, building the pipeline. Those are the things that you should be focused on. So all the little clerical stuff that I just mentioned, right? Building funnels, doing some of my marketing, doing some posts online and
Like
all that.
automation and marketing is probably what.
Yeah, right. It's the hardest thing. And by all means, please share your story. Starr and Tina, I know that I still struggle with that because I go back and forth. Many times I'll delegate something and then, a couple weeks will go by and I'm like, they're not doing it the way I would do it. Right. So I pull it back in again. And oh gosh, I struggle with that, but I'm starting to learn. I've been learning for years. You just got to release some of those things.
Starr, what was the first thing you delegated?
Wow, the first thing that I delegated, I would probably say Robert, because the first business I started was a durable medical equipment company, and we physically had to have someone there I'm not 24/7, but 8 hours per day to get approval from the state for insurance purposes. So that was my first time really hiring someone. But I've done work online where I'll outsource graphics and things like that. And then when I opened the brick and mortars, I definitely knew that I don't want to physically be in a store every single day. That just wasn't something I was interested in doing.
Right.
So I immediately, started hiring retail staff. So for me personally, I thrive when I have a team and I have support. And I'm a little bit different. I know people like to really be in charge. I feel very stressed out or depleted if I don't have that support. When I have a strong support system in place, that's when I excel. That's when I get excited.
Exactly.
So I'm really looking for people to support me in different areas. Now, I will say there are certain things that I do. So, for example, when it comes to filing my local state taxes, Shopify in California has a weird thing, and some entrepreneurs know about it. Like the taxes are a bit messed up. So personally, that's one thing that I file. After that, it's like the bookkeeper can do everything else they want to do. I know my numbers are going to be 100% accurate when it's time to file taxes. And so I still do that. But I hate financials. I hate math. That's one thing that I literally cried in grad school and in college when I took accounting. But for some reason that I know what's happening with my numbers by me doing that every single month as well. So that's why I also keeping that particular task under my belt. But most things I'm pretty willing to outsource and want to outsource.
Yeah. I think it's good to know these things as an entrepreneur, because then it allows you to have the skill set to do things on the fly. I think that's the biggest thing, is having the skill set to be able to immediately create a funnel or do a quick post or do something that I can't wait for.
Yes.
Right. However, I'm not going to sit here and do those things.
Wrong date, wrong time.
And here's the thing too, right? With AI and all the other things that are just, this huge movement, this pivot in itself, just in the world of being an entrepreneur, so much has changed. And so you have to adapt to that as well. And I would say that is number 3, a perfect segue to bring up is the fact that there are many people out there that aren't willing to adapt. They're not willing to do things different today. They're still doing things the way they did it 3 and 4 years ago. And I know that doesn't seem like a long time, but
in the marketing and online world, it
changes month to month in some cases, right?
It really does, especially marketing and social media and the algorithm and what was in 4 years ago is definitely not in. What was in 4 years ago is to post. Now it's to not post as much, but video. That live video is what's going to hit you. So you have to keep up on all of that. So that pivot, so consistency, adaptability, pivoting.
You have to be
the other word, delegating.
Delegating is huge. All of those things. Yeah, those are probably the 4 key ingredients. Without a doubt. And so another thing that just kind of comes to mind when you think of yourself just being kind of stuck at the same income level, regardless of what it is, I would say that look at, and I'm not necessarily saying that all of us have to dive right into affiliate-based activity, but having some sort of an affiliate-based service is huge. And so you don't have to recreate the wheel, right? I know that if I want to be able to sell a course on how to create, your very first book, right? I'm not going to have to sit there and dive in and do it all. Can I do that? Yes, I'm an author, right? I understand the mechanics of doing that. But I know this lovely lady here on my screen, Tina Torres, that's what she does like for a living, right? So it's building those kind of alliances, those collaborations, those JV partnerships.
I mean, Starr is the queen of affiliate marketing, right? Like, you an affiliate.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Yeah. When I mean, really, and honestly, if right now I'm not struggling, but if I was sitting here struggling with my go high level funnels, I'm reaching out to Starr. Because you've been through it though. Like when you think about this in general, and it's not even just about us. I'm saying for everyone out there at any level of your business, the best place to get to where you want to be in life is to follow the footsteps of those that have already achieved that. And so, can I sit here and immerse myself in a book and a course to learn how to do something? Yes, if I've got a ton of time on my hands. And I do love studying those things. But I would much rather learn from somebody, even if it's paying them, a few $100s, a few $1,000s to fix a major problem or hurdle in my life that I can now 10x that investment. So continuously doing those things, I think are key, aligning yourself with the right people. The other thing, and I'm just going to throw it out there for all of us to dive in on this one. Each one of us are coaches, right? And we've been in the coaching business for quite some time. So not only do we practice, our products and services and our craft, but we've always mentored and helped others to do the same thing through duplication and just our experience. And so coaching, I think, is a huge highlight. So for those, again, listening, write that down, write it in big, bold letters, coaching, whatever that may be.
yeah,
every single person.
yeah,
Right.
group coaching, one-on-one coaching, just you can do anything. I mean, and you always have to have different eggs in different baskets.
Yeah.
Like I have a one-on-one program, I have a DIY, I have a done for you, I have a done with you, I have an affiliate program. I can sell digital products. So there's so many different things that you can do. You never want to have all your eggs in one basket because you never know when you're going to be like, ooh, I need to.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like with coaching, Starr, do you coach?
Yes. And also having the mindset to invest in coaching and mentorship is very crucial, right?
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people don't want to, their mindset is not around making those investments. So really operating at the next level self versus your current self. If I'm a 6-figure earner and I want to be a 7-figure earner,
exactly.
What type of investments am I willing to make within my business, within mentorship and coaching? So I think that's very crucial.
Yeah. So not only are you a coach, do you have coaches and mentors?
Yes. So if I'm stuck with a specific area in my business, even this year, like I really want to put a focus on another area of my business, I have mentorship for that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Tina, same thing. You have coaches and mentors?
Same thing. And every year I do I set goals for that year for myself and for my business. And so whatever it is for my business that I want to focus on, like this year, it's automating. So I just hired a whole automation team to automate my whole entire business. So then that way because I'm always redoing things, I got to redo this contract. I got to redo this invoice. I got to, I have these one-on-one clients and I was like, I just need everything automated. So I'm not doing things 3, 4, or 5 times a day. Exactly. And so, it was, automation. And last year was collaboration. And, so I try to focus on whatever it is, and whatever it is that I'm focused on, I find those mentors or coaches to help me through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then number is absurd, right? Like I think that investing in yourself, it should be one of the highest priorities in anything you do, because here's the thing, you can carry that forward from business model to business model, right? Whether it's brick and mortar or whether it's an online business, regardless of the products and services, like investing in yourself will carry forward tenfold. And here's the beautiful thing about that is investing in yourself gives you the ability already, the authority to help others do the same thing. And that in itself is what is going to allow you to be scalable, and to collaborate with others and to coach and train and mentor others to actually help alleviate some of the things that we're talking about, right? Like that's how you scale. Is teaching other, when you're a great leader, you should be teaching other people how to become great leaders. The cycle in business. So I think that is huge. The other thing as well is that most people think when it comes to coaching and mentoring that when you've hit a certain level, like you've exhausted that, you no longer need to continue to invest in yourself. And a proven example, I mean, there's countless ones I can think of, but all of the successful people that I look up to, the people that actually have mentored me in different areas in business, they still have mentors and they still have coaches, right? John Maxwell has coaches and mentors. And you would think of him as an authority since he's written, I know I'm going to get the number wrong, but I think it's close to 100 books. Wow. And so when you think about someone like that, do you think he needs a coach and a mentor on business? You wouldn't think he does, but he still looks up to other people that continue.
And even people like that still struggle with the things that we all struggle with.
Yes.
They still struggle with mindset. They still struggle with imposter syndrome. They still struggle with all these things. So just because you've hit that 6-figure income or that 7-figure mark or that 8-figure mark, you still struggle with those things on a daily basis. So like if you're sitting here watching going, oh my gosh, I can never do this. I can never have a talk show like this. I can never have a coaching business like this. We have all been there, and we go there sometimes from day to day. And that's why
that's right.
Those mentors and people like, in your circle, like the three of us, we talk to each other all the time, like offline. Hey, I need Starr and I were on the phone the other day for an hour and a half.
Help me figure this out. And you know what? And it's not just, here's the thing. We've talked about on the show quite often that what's happening in your life, it transfers into your business and vice versa. 100%. So when we're talking about getting mentors, collaborations, building partnerships, it's not just in business. It's day-to-day life, people that you can lean on when there's a hard time, right? Tina, you and I, Starr, you and I, we've talked about a lot of things in life that tend to bog us down, hold us back, the things that you don't see necessarily on social media, right? And that's a whole nother thing in itself, by the way. And I would say that that's another reason why people stay stuck is the fact that, they're always trying to emulate somebody else. They're always trying to be someone else. And this imposter syndrome creeps in. And so they're stuck because they're thinking, I have to do this. This is what the guru has told me online, and it's not working out. I'm not seeing the success. And so those are small, very small fractions.
I want to tell you, and we have said this many times. Anything that you see on social media is just the highlight reel. They're not going to post that they just got done fighting with their husband. They're not going to post that they, haven't slept all night. They're not going to post that their kids are screaming. They're not going to show you the other side of the camera where everything is, chaos and there's laundry piled up and they're,
and you're on your 6th cup of coffee, just to kind of make it through a podcast. Yeah, exactly.
See that stuff, you're not going to see the, migraines in the middle of the night or I don't want to do this today type of mentality because we always want to show the good parts of us.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And also, you see that when people are like traveling the world and going here and doing this and doing all these things with these kids, their kids are buying extravagant things, just know that they still struggle too. Each one of us have had our personal conversations with one another about our personal lives. Like, I don't know if I can get through this.
Yeah.
I know, Robert, you and I have because we've known each other forever. And
we're here though. But we're here because of that support system. Exactly. What were you going to say, Starr? You want to echo something on that?
Yeah, I just want to add about mentorship, collaboration, and even being in coaching programs that are group coaching or masterminds. Oftentimes, our family and friends don't really understand what we go through as entrepreneurs, and it's really hard for them to understand some of the struggles that we may be facing, why we might be upset. When we're able to, confide in a mentor or even colleagues that we've met through these programs, they understand. They understand the journey and the experience.
You sit on your ass all day, don't you? And you don't really do anything, do you?
Yeah. I love when you mentioned vacationing, Tina, because that's like we love vacationing. I'd rather like Kelly and I would rather invest in that than anything else, right? In our life other than education and ourselves.
But that is also right now.
Yeah. Oh, no, exactly.
Like
and so
5 years ago or 10 years ago, that was a different goal. Right now, you guys are your family's in that right space. Your financials are in that space.
Right.
You're working in that space. You guys, okay, you know what? Now is the time I want to travel.
But exactly, but it made me think about this. So, in regards to travel, or when someone buys a new car or a bigger home, right? When they kind of upscale things in life, the material things of life. So often people are like, "It must be nice," right? Like you ever heard that phrase? Well, it must be nice to X Y Z. It must be nice to go out and have steak and not ramen, right? Like, but no one sees, and that's what the Uncensored Entrepreneurs is all about. No one sees what's really happening. And no one wants to talk about what happens really on that journey behind the scenes. There are countless times.
Spend 6 weeks eating top
Yeah,
ramen morning, noon, at night.
exactly. Or just, here's the thing. Do I have the flexibility to go coach my daughter's, sports team, or to do something, or go to an event? Absolutely. But what also people don't see behind the scenes is how many times when my kids go to bed and my wife is sleeping next to me, I'm on my computer working till 2 a.m., right, to get a project or something done. Like, people don't see that side of it. Or I've countless days where where you sleep 3 or 4 hours, right, just because you're trying to figure something out and to achieve that next level in your goals.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely, that's one thing. When both of you were just talking earlier, and Starr, you had mentioned a couple things in regards to this, but I wrote down patterns and routines. I think that is critical as well at any level in business. Whether you're trying to make your first $500 consistently, like a month right now, if you've got an online business, you're trying to sell a product or service, but patterns and routines can tell you so much about where you're currently at and what you need to do to pivot, shift, and to break through that ceiling. And so I'm constantly looking at that. Whenever I feel like I'm stuck in a rut, I sit there and I go, okay, what are some of my routines? What's currently happening? What's taking up all my time? I revisit my schedule over and over again. I talk about block scheduling, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's these things. It's these things that are typically the anchor holding me back. It's the other reason why we come up with all these other excuses. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that, because of just the way we manage our time. And the body just naturally, it actually keeps memory of all things. And so both good and bad, your body
You're
and
all
your
getting older day by day by day.
yeah. But your body and your mind, it falls into patterns, habits, routines, good or bad, because it's considered safe and comfortable, right?
Right. Like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm following my schedule, but are you actually analyzing what's working and what's not working so that you can change the activities that you're doing, or the actions that you're taking, or outsource certain things? So yeah, I love that, Robert. Just really evaluating everything that you're working on. I love time blocking as well.
Yeah. You have to disrupt. You have to disrupt the patterns.
Yeah.
And so anyways, it wouldn't be a talk show if I didn't say, for those that are watching, like, follow, like, and share us across social media on the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. Again, as we just talked about in the very beginning, you see some new branding and some new things that we're doing. We're going to have some new podcasts. We've got a great lineup of guests. And so for those listening that really would just love to be on that lineup with others, please feel free to do so. And here's the beautiful thing about collaboration. It's not just about the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. We ourselves are tied into a network of many podcasts and platforms. And so even within our own communities, we're constantly looking for experts and people that want to get in front of others, to share their story, to share some knowledge that can advance and serve others in the communities. So we appreciate that. Definitely reach out and talk to us further in regards to that. So staying stuck, what are some other things that you have found are really kind of just, at moments in your own business and life have held you back for a period of time?
Not raising your standards.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So
that is a good one.
We can deliver products, we can deliver services, but we need to be evaluating the quality of that, and how can we increase the value so that people want to give us positive reviews, refer people, come back and purchase our products or services from us. So I think it's very important that we don't just focus on, I'm going to raise my rates, but what is the quality and the service of the things that we're actually delivering to our customers and our clients?
Yeah, sure. I think reevaluate. So if if you launched a group coaching program, or if you launched a podcast, or if you launched something and it's not working, you're not bringing in income, something is not, it's taking up too much of your time. What is working and what can you change about it? Like if it's group coaching, once a week, go down to bi-weekly, go every other week, and
Yes.
change the structure of things and bring in expert speakers twice a month. There's
Mm.
so many things that you can do to take your time away, but reevaluate. And sometimes you have to step back.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like, that arrow, you got to pull back and then you got to stay there for a minute. So, stepping away from your business,
Mm.
going to the beach, going to the mountains, and just getting 2 full days where you're just not really immersed into your business, and you can just kind of like reevaluate things and get a clear, get a clear head, get a clear picture of what you want, and
Yes.
then reevaluate your goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And scaling is like, it's a two-way street, meaning, if you're already finding yourself, producing some amazing quality products and services, then in order to scale, you need to then bump it up to some quantity, right? Like, how do I get this out to more individuals? Or it could be on the other end of the scale. Maybe you're all about quantity. You're just pushing numbers out, and you don't realize that maybe I need to pull back and focus on quality, right? So it's an interesting shift between those two elements. The other thing that I wrote down to discuss today is for those that are stuck, just like completely stuck. They're like, I've hit a ceiling. Maybe it's not even about scaling. It's the fact that I've exhausted all my leads, my pipeline. There's, I don't know where else to go, right? I'm having a horrible month. I like to talk a great deal, and I coach people around low-hanging fruit. And what I mean about that is, whenever you find yourself kind of stuck in this rut and you're like, I don't know what else to do, go back and revisit the people that you've done business with years ago, or people that, had even told you at any point in time, like, yeah, let's talk down the road. Like, most of us do a really poor job because we have the blinders on. We're thinking about like sales today, and that's all transactional, right? Instead of, relationship driven. So if you're really focused on the relationship side, it really allows you to go back and revisit some of those things.
Yeah.
The other thing is too, is just ask. Like, it's the craziest thing in business. I'm not saying you need to beg.
But
Although that is a technique, if it's done the right way. But yeah, depending on your situation. But just ask. Like, so many people that I talk to are like, I don't know what else to do. I've sold everything I can sell. I don't know how to get any more leads. And I'm like, okay, so how many people do you think you've talked to in the last year? And when they give me that rough number based on metrics, I'm like, how many of those people, were you able to sell a product or service to?
Yeah.
And it's typically like 10%, right? It's not even anywhere close to the amount of people that they've connected with. So it's like, let's revisit that. Let's
also
go back.
write down all those people. Like, keep a running list, an Excel spreadsheet or something, because you will never realize the amount of people that have fell through the cracks.
Yes.
You did not follow up with them.
The fourth tip is to follow up. You should have a lead tracker or a pipeline to manage your leads.
Yes. So let's talk about that. CRM, getting organized, tracking all of these things, these metrics. Oh my goodness. Like, I admit, the earlier stages of my business, because it was so relationship driven, and most of the time people would refer me business, right? It just felt like I didn't need to market myself, because so many people were introducing me to some amazing opportunities and to others that needed my products and services. But yeah, building those relationships and keeping track of those relationships, right? Emotional based selling is so key in everything that you do. Relationship based selling is so key in everything that you do. And that doesn't mean not being authentic and genuine. You have to be. But it's actually just taking account of some of those things. I mean, I've reached out to people, we've talked about this before, that I haven't spoken to in well over like 1, 2, 3 years even. And then I circle back around just to see how they're doing. And in that conversation of truly caring and just talking, they're like, so what are you up to again? Or what are you doing nowadays? And when you get talking, they're like, oh my goodness, I need XYZ. Or I would love to introduce you to this person, right?
Absolutely. And even on Messenger, you can You don't have to go in, be salesy. You can let people know what you do. You can set up a virtual coffee chat with them and just simply say, if you know someone who needs these specific services, feel free to let them know I'm here. If you can refer them, and I'll do the same for you. And oftentimes they may say, hey, that's something that I need, or they actually do know someone who needs your services. So it's definitely important to collaborate with people, network, and like you said, talk to your leads, follow up with your leads. If you have 5,000 friends on Facebook, that's 5,000 leads that I'm sure you haven't talked to this year. And if those are people, if you only have, 1,000 friends, start adding more friends for people who could actually use your services or products.
One tip that I always give my clients is every single day you have about 10 to 15 people to say happy birthday to.
Yes.
Oh,
At least. I mean, the other day, it was like January something. I was like, how do I have 27 people that I know that have the same birthday?
yeah.
But every single day I go in there and say happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. And it just, oh, Tina.
Yeah. Well, I have like 20,000 people, right, in my network that I could say happy birthday to. Starr has about 1 million in her network. So I'm sure, Starr, you could probably spend the entire day just saying happy birthday to people.
I'll go to Facebook jail. No.
I think that's true. That's true. But you're right, Tina. You always have a reason, right? The other thing is too is just letting people know what's happening, educating people. Don't sell them anything. Just give them something, serve them with something that's going to better their business and their life today. And in doing that, that always allows you to scale and grow, and it allows you to come back around to have a reason to talk to them about something that's currently going on or a promotion.
Social media. Hey, I need some help with this. If that's your expertise, hey, I DM'd you a couple of tips that I just came up with.
Yes.
They are going to take that and be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And they're going to remember that.
Yes, absolutely.
2 years or 3 years, you helped me with this and didn't even ask me for no money at all.
Mm-hmm.
And now I want to work with you.
So before we go into, because I know we're going to be coming to a close here, but before we go into the big idea of what you can do to truly like scale your business, to break through that ceiling. And we've mentioned a few ideas already. I like to bring it back again. I love to just speak to those that are just trying to figure things out. Like even at a small end, it's that, how do I consistently bring in 1,000 a month? How do I do this? How do whatever that is based on some products and services. I have found that sometimes the smallest little things are holding you back. We talked about mindset being one of them. So, breaking those patterns and routines, changing some things up. And it can be something as simple as, and this absolutely works. I did a boot camp a few years ago, and I challenged people with this idea. We talked about the environment that they sit in every day. So that's a routine in itself, right? You can see what I have in the background. Tina, what you have back there. Bless you. I see you sneezing over there. It's all good. And then Starr, same thing. Sometimes that in itself can be something. It can be a pattern that's programming you in routine. So if you feel like you've exhausted some things, if you feel like you're kind of stuck in this rut, and some people call it writer's block, entrepreneurs have the same exact thing, and you're just like this creative block, what do I do? It can be something as simple as changing the position of your desk, right? Changing up the lighting, changing a few things around, the way that you're conducting business. Sometimes it's sitting down, other times it's standing up. I find that, like, I started doing that a few years ago, where I sit down so often to work on things. And then now I'm shifting over to a stand-up, right? Like a stand-up desk. And in doing that, the productivity level just increases. So I know that seems very minor, but like that's one little thing that I'll do from time to time. Do either of you have a little routine that you've done just to kind of tweak things or change things up?
Going outside for me, I need some sunlight. I need some air. Sometimes I notice like, okay, I'm just in the house working, like,
yes,
why do I feel this way? And I have to get outdoors and have some movement. So that's been important. And then also just that constant education piece that you mentioned, Robert, like for me, maybe it's a coaching session, maybe it's a course that I have. I'm not recommending that you get stuck in consumption mode though, but it's very important for me. I'm like, oh, that's an aha moment, or this is helping me. I'm going through this to have a specific outcome that I'm looking for in my business.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Tina?
I do the same thing. I have to get outside.
Mm,
Sun is like my thing.
yes.
And especially when you're working from home all day, like I don't leave the house. I don't drive to work and listen to the music and be able to decompress. I, you know, do this and go downstairs and put away dishes and come back and do a coaching call. And, so I don't ever go outside. So going outside and taking walks or, like I take a 15 or 20-minute walk
Yeah,
or
it is. It's
podcast.
and even if you have to be in, because you're absolutely right. I have one client that always talks about kicking off her shoes. Right? She's
Mhm.
constantly saying, "Whenever I ever reach this level, I kick off my shoes and I have to actually have my feet like, you know, on the grass,
Yeah.
just
Oh yeah.
sitting there and grounding myself to earth." The other thing is, even if your business requires you to stay inside or you're working on something and you're constantly at a computer, changing that environment. Like I bounce around to a lot of coffee shops with what I do, and I'm juggling multiple services. Just changing the environment is something as simple as that. Plus, I love coffee, right? So you get to enjoy that, and it's just a different environment, and you get to meet different people. But I think that something like that in itself can really help you from just kind of feeling like you're stuck in this rut.
Oh, for sure.
So let's kind of end with big level. And I think right now, if you currently in life or business are just stuck in a rut, you feel like every single day, everything is just mundane, it's routine. You just can't break out of this pattern. You're not reaching the levels that you want in life. You don't even know where to start. Um, I would say reach out and connect with any one of us. And I'm saying that it could be anyone, right? A coach, a mentor. But by reaching out and just if you're hearing this message, just give either one of us a call. I think it's a great place to start. The beautiful thing is you'd have the ability to talk to one person, three people, or thousands of people within our communities that are probably experiencing some of the same exact things that you're experiencing. So I think I would challenge you to level up, to do something a little bit different, maybe getting out of your comfort zone by just reaching out and connecting with people.
But I
Most
want to say, don't connect with somebody who is going to let you stay in that victim mentality.
absolutely do not surround yourself with those people. Yeah.
Somebody who is going to be like, well, you make more money than I do, and well, you want to have somebody that's a little bit, even if they're just one street ahead of you. You
Yeah.
want to have them just a little bit ahead of you, so then that way they lift you up instead of you having to try to lift somebody else up when you already are low.
Yeah. It's good that they're relatable, right? Like people that you can tie yourself to. That kind of goes back to when I talk about personal branding, someone that you can relate to that's gone through something.
Yeah.
But somebody, like you said, Tina, that's going to take you to that next level, and they're not going to allow you to just sit and dwell in that pain and loss, right? Without the ability to move forward. So yeah, so I would challenge you to do that. And again, I think that the last big point I'll just kind of summarize with, and if you guys have anything else you want to throw in, but I think that all leads to fear. The reason why most people are stuck in a rut, or they're not willing to reach out and just say, hey Rob, hey Starr, hey Tina, is because this fear of imposter syndrome, some limiting beliefs. Maybe they don't want to reveal some of the things that are going on, that they're the challenges that they're going through. And so breaking through that really is going to allow you to get out of that comfort zone, right? Which can be a very scary place, depending on kind of where you're at, and to be able to move into growth. So that would be my last big challenge of the day, where I think that's going to help every single person at any level. Do you have anything else to add into that?
I think the same thing. I mean, just reach out to one of us. If you guys need anything, you guys can always go to uncensoredentrepreneurs.com. You can join our mailing list. You can get a hold of any one of us. You can follow us on Facebook. All three of us post every single day positive, inspirational, valuable information. So just keep yourself in a positive environment. And then that way you stay in that positive, you don't go down that rabbit hole.
Absolutely. Starr, any closing remarks?
Just operate at your next level self. Make decisions for your business as if you were already where you want to be, whether that be investing, what you need to purchase, and just really take your business to the next level instead of staying stagnant where you're at. So
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you, all of those that tuned in live from multiple sources, and those that are going to be listening to this later on a replay. Once again, we have an amazing lineup. So Follow, like, and share us if you'd like to be alerted when we actually do go live and we have some other events coming up. We're so excited. I don't want to spill the tea and give any of that information away, but it is going to be fantastic. So continue to follow, like, and share us across all social media channels. And once again, we'll see you next week at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday for our next episode of the Uncensored Entrepreneurs.
Bye, guys.